Well, hello everybody. I'm Geraldine, and I just finished reading the fall quarter of Disorientation. First off, I want to say this is a really good book to read and to analyze because at some point in our situation, I think we all can relate to some part of it, um, and to feel connected to the principal character, which is Ingrid. Mm, Personally, I think I found myself connected to her in 3 or 4 points of the fall quarter. The first one is that, and the most obvious one is that I'm also an immigrant. Even though I wasn't born here, I think I still have the same problems of her not feeling like a good fit to the society of what the natural and correct um, shapes of being included in this society are. I face constantly the same doubts she faced when she finds herself in different situations. And so, introducing the first one, I think the first one I feel connected to her was her financial problems when paying for tuition. I think that's not only on me, but I think we all, or some of the people that go to college, have the same doubt of not being able to pay for tuition. What if they get financial aid? But I know some scholarships or some financial aids, if you are granted them, you cannot work. And I think that it's sometimes unfair because even though they are granting you money to pay for tuition, that's not the only thing you have to pay in your daily life. There's housing, food, clothing, bills that you have to also pay. And if you just focus on studying and paying for studying, that's not going to compensate the other financial responsibilities you have to to have under control, you know? And so on the fourth page, she points out, or it's talked about, I quote, the immigrants' assimilation into American society as endless negotiation in truest poetry. I think that's a really important part or quote of the book because things like that we might pass them over and not over analyze them. But I think having that constant doubt of not being able to pay for everything, to not be accepted, to not feeling part of the society shapes a lot of your self worth and your self inclusion to a society that is now yours, but you still don't feel like yours. And so this is also like um, a reflection of what she later feels about the constant self-doubt about everything. Like I think through all the fall quarter section of this book, she is always doubting about herself, of her image, of her situations, of her life, of her career, of everything. She's always doubting. So I think that's one of the things that make part of the doubt she's always facing. Um, the third uh, the third situation I felt connected to the um, to the character was when she started talking at the beginning of chapter 2, a beginning coincidence. Her dating story and her dating life was really messy, and I do consider that something at some point we all can relate to. But I can connect this to the first thing about um, doubting about herself and all her life choices because I grew up being told that you attract what you are. And so I think the fact that she was always doubting about herself, that she was always concerned about being a good fit to the society she was now facing, she developed a sense of not being able to identify her own character, her own path, her own. She wasn't able to feel like herself, and so a lot of people came into her life, such as the film studies major guy, the engineering grad student, the investment banker, and the medical resident. Well, the medical resident was kind of a difficult situation, but and a different situation also. But I think there's a constant um, thing or a constant feature that all the three first men she dated, the filmmaker student, the engineering grad student, and the investment banker had, and it was the constant variable of manipulation. And I think she always accepted it because they will like manipulate her into coming back even though they weren't necessarily present. Because for example, with the film students studies major student, um he would disappear, he would call her things like hysterical, like treating her like a crazy person, and then he will come back just to tell her that if she didn't take him back, he would start using again, referring to the prescription Adderall. So I think that's really manipulative, and we can also infer that her doubts made her feel natural. All the situations were like kind of natural, since she didn't have like such a strong character to say no or to like respect her self boundaries. And so at the end of the day, she was being taken advantage of because of her low self-esteem and her feelings. um, Also, an element that I found really constant was that to some point she started sexualizing herself a little too much, because because all of her dating were were really toxic and only wanted her to have sex at the end of the day. And that just made her feel more isolated to herself, not even to them, because at the end of the day she was able to say like no, and she respected her own limits. It was difficult though, but she did. But I think that pulled her away even more from her. um and well, after that I think she found her path, because after that she stopped dating people, and then she started going to animal shelters and to get more connected to her, like to find her own path. And then she met Stefan, what that is her fiance now. She lives with him, and I think that's a really strong element, because personally I went through that, of the manipulation thing, of not having like a good luck on finding somebody that goes through your same path, and that you can find something similar to to like walk together and to build into that further. And so I think Stefan offered that to her, regarding having similar things, having similar um, passions in life, and they complement each other. So I think all of this just revolves on the social acceptance we all have, and like the social stigma and parameters we supposedly are in charge of accomplishing in order to be a good fit. And so I think that's the principal element of the fall quarter, and I think that's one of the most important things. Besides the academic stuff, I decided to focus more on the personal situations that she faced daily. And so I expect to learn more about this book, and to learn about her and her situations in life. Thank you.